Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 25 of Trip Tales. Today we are going to be diving into a fun Universal trip that was booked mostly on points. But before we do that, I have to give a big thank you to last week's buymeacoffee.com supporter, Courtney Gibson from Pixie Travel by Courtney on Instagram, who you guys may remember as the Disney travel planner that my guest Jessica raved about on episode 16, all about cruising on the Disney Wish, and from episode 22, where Courtney shared about Disney's hidden gem beach resorts in Vero Beach and on Hilton Head Island. Courtney was so kind to buy me not one, but 3 coffees and say, thank you for creating such a fun and informative podcast. It was an honor to be a guest. I look forward to your episodes each week. Your talent and passion shines through. Well, Courtney, that just brightened my day immensely and filled up my coffee cup. Just a reminder that my support website, buymeacoffee.com, is a super cool and simple way to show your support if you're loving the Trip Tales podcast. And trust me, this busy mom could use a little caffeine boost to keep bringing you all the travel stories and tips you love. And if you do buy me a coffee, I'll give you a special shout out by name in the next episode. That link can be found in the show notes or by simply visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Okay, on to today's Universal episode. Today, I am joined by Joanna from the Wonderland on Points podcast. And fun fact, Joanna actually co-hosts the Wonderland on Points podcast with Mary Ellen, who shared about her Switzerland trip on episode 24 of Trip Tales. So welcome, Joanna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's always fun to be interviewed.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
Okay, so we are from St. Louis, Missouri, although we are outside of St. Louis now in a little town called St. Peters that is wonderful and lovely. I am the fiance of my partner of the last 11 years. He is a police officer, and we have a middle school daughter. She is 12, going on 13 in a few months here. I'm horrified by that, in 7th grade, and she's amazing. We have a bunch of fur babies in this house. I probably shouldn't tell you how many, so you can just know that there's a handful of cats and a dog. We won't get into the specifics because I don't want anyone to think I'm a crazy cat lady, but I am. And then for jobs, my day job is a household manager, which is essentially the next level up from being a nanny. So I've been doing this for 15 years, and I basically am a personal assistant to every member of a family. So anything that you can think of that you look around your house and need done, I do all of that.
I need to hire you immediately.
I tell people it is a luxury service. The price tag coordinates with everything that I do. But if you can afford a household manager, man, what a game changer in life. Like,
yes.
Someone else is like, hey, your license or your license plates on your car are expiring next month. I'll go renew those for you. Like, where is me in my own house? Because I can't do any of that stuff for myself. I don't know. I don't know how I have this ability to like keep people's homes functioning, but
That's amazing. I love that. I'm looking at my mounds and mounds of consignment sale things that I just organized, tagged, got ready for this consignment sale. I mean, it has taken hours and hours of my life where I'm like, is the check going to be worth it? But I feel like that's something I would say, Joanna, would you like to tag these clothes?
That would have been me. That would have been me in there doing all of that.
So in addition to that, you also host the Wonderland on Points podcast with Mary Ellen, which we talked about a bit on the last episode, but their whole spiel is miles and points, which we're going to talk about a little bit today as well. So if you guys are trying to understand or learn the miles and points world, all their episodes can help you get your feet wet there and save a bunch of money and go on cool trips that you wouldn't otherwise be able to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, learning about all of this has changed both of our lives, which is why we pour so much time and energy into this podcast, because we want other people to be able to do it too. So definitely go over there, because I know today we're kind of giving an overview of Universal, but I broke it down. It actually took 2 episodes to get through the nitty-gritty of all the point stuff. So it's over there for you to listen to if that interests you.
Awesome. Yeah, let's dive into this Universal trip. So you went this summer in June 2024, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and obviously Universal is so fun. I love it. We went last November, but why did you want to book this summer trip to Universal?
I have been dreaming of either Disney or Universal with my daughter since she was little. And I had a couple of stipulations because I went when I was young, maybe 6 or 7, and I have no memory of it at all. So I knew that I was going to wait. If we're going to be spending the money and going all out, I'm not taking this child until I am positive it will be glued in her memory permanently for the rest of her life because I knew it was going to be so expensive. And this was really before I realized how much you could do there on points. When I realized that I could buy the theme park tickets on points, my wheels really got turning and I was like, I think this is the year. So we really booked all of this around February and it just kept spiraling. I found a great hotel on points. I found Southwest flights that were a really good points value. And so the next level was like, maybe we should bring her best friend with us. And then it
Aw.
spiraled even further and I invited my best friend. So it ended up being like this really cute besties trip where we were all crammed in this hotel room together. There were 4 of us, but it was extraordinary. And it really started because I was like, oh, I don't need $3,000 to do this. I have a big chunk of points and we can do most of this with them. And so, really, that was the starting point that got me to the place where I did the booking.
Okay, that is amazing. Okay, we have to pause though, because I did not know you could buy Universal theme park tickets on points. So you got to give us a high level of how that even works.
Yes. Okay. So I did not know either. We actually had someone come on our podcast near the beginning to talk Disney on points and how they maximize that. And she was mentioning on that episode that she believes Disney park tickets are going to soon be available in the Chase Travel Portal. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And the Chase Travel Portal is the portal that can be accessed with your Chase Sapphire Reserve or Preferred card. And you can use your points to book through there, or you can book through that portal with cash, but get extra points, 5 times your points on anything booked in there. And the Chase Sapphire Preferred card is really like the best beginner card. But most of the time, we say that because you can transfer points out to other partners from there. We don't usually recommend you book things in the portal because you get more value transferring your points other places. But in this circumstance, I was like, I'm just going to poke around. And I found Universal Studios listed in the Chase Travel Portal. Weirdly enough, it's like 4 pages in when you search Orlando, Florida, as things to book there. It is not easy to find. I've had to help people in my DMs so many times find where to buy these tickets. But at the time, they were offering a buy 2 days, get 2 days free sale, which was
Incredible.
it was excellent. So I did use a huge chunk of points to buy these. I used, I believe, 68,000 points to book 2 people, 2 park hopper tickets for 4 days. And 2 of those days were free. So that was 68,000 was really the cost of 2 days. But it would have been about $1,000 for both of us to pay for 2 days in Universal after all the taxes and fees. So to me, my sign up bonus from that card, from the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, basically covered the cost of those tickets. And if people want to know more about sign up bonuses and all that kind of stuff, definitely visit our podcast. We will teach you all of it. But it was a great place to use the portal because I'm just not going to drop $1,000 on theme park tickets. Like when I know my family can take an entire cruise or probably a huge, amazing vacation for $1,000, I can't wrap my head around that. But I also really, really, really wanted to have this experience with her. And so we were able to do it for literally $0 out of pocket for the theme park tickets. So I feel like that was long-winded, but I get a little excited about the points and miles stuff.
No, that's awesome. My listeners know I harp on the uh, Chase Sapphire Preferred card as the best place to start if you're thinking about it because probably a year and a half ago, I was just starting to think about points and miles, which is crazy because I could have been doing this for so much longer. But that's where I started. And I just have the preferred. I don't have the reserved because we didn't want to like have those high yearly fees. But it's been amazing. And honestly, like I got the initial bonus offer and we were able to use that. And then it's continuing to build up so many points without even additional like offers or whatever that I'm like, this is great. Like it's helping me book a rental car when I need to go to Orlando soon. And yeah, that's not like super cool, Universal tickets or whatever, but it's still not money that's coming out of my pocket. So I'm like,
Yes.
thank God I have all these points sitting here in the Chase travel portal. I just like love it.
Oh, it's the best feeling in the world. And Chase is so nice because once you have that card, you can earn more points into the ultimate rewards pool with other cards, even if you're not getting sign-up bonuses. Like I just happen to have an old Chase Freedom card that I never used, and I product changed it to a Chase Freedom Flex card, which has rotating earning categories through the year. And while we were at Universal, one of those was dining. So I was earning 7 times points with that card the whole time we were in Orlando with all of the food we bought, which was our main cost. So
That's so
if
smart.
you, yeah, there's just so many ways to accumulate into that pool. And once you have the pool, it's like the world is your oyster.
Well, and it's like the learnings in points and mile never ends. Like when you just said that, I'm like, oh, I feel like an encouragement to listeners is like, you're never going to know it all. Like you're never going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I could have switched this chase card to this and then the dining and the 7 times points. But it's like the more you dip your toe in it and just start, the more
Yes.
you slowly learn. Like I just learned that. And so it's kind of like just get started with like the
Yes.
Chase Sapphire Preferred, get your first introductory offer, figure out how you're going to use that. And then as you start getting more interested, you'll just start retaining more information about it. But,
A hundred
anyways,
percent.
okay. So, how did you guys get to Universal? Did you guys fly?
We did fly. So we took Southwest flights. We found very good Southwest deals. I do not have the companion pass yet. I'm actually so close. I'm like 30,000 points from my companion pass, which is, if people don't know what that is, it's where you earn a certain amount of points and get a companion pass, which means you can fly people free for up to 2 years, like a companion with you on all of your flights. So I wished that I had had that. It would have been really nice. But still, we found very, very good point steals on Southwest. It ended up being around 11,000 points per person per way, which is very good. And with Southwest, as the price drops, you can go back in and change your flight. Essentially, you're rebooking the same exact flight and it credits you the difference in points. So our flights dropped in price several times after I booked them, and it ended up being about 8,000 points a person,
I feel like that never
which is great.
happens to me. How do you have like an alert set up or how do you know that they're dropping in price?
I check on Tuesdays because for whatever reason, Tuesday seems to be a day when there's a lot of sales and price drops. So I kind of just have an alert for myself on Tuesdays to go in and check any flights that I have booked. And it's really easy in the app because if you click on the button change under your flight and then walk through and click the same flight that you currently have, you can look at it and see if it's more or less. If it costs more, it'll say plus however many points. If you're getting points back, it says minus however many points. And if you don't want to change anything, you just click off the screen and no harm, no foul. So if you do, you just click a button and it credits you the points instantly. So it's very, very simple. But as far as I know, there's no way to be alerted on Southwest when the prices drop. Although now that they're in Google Flights,
Maybe. Yeah.
you may be able to set something up for yourself. I just haven't.
Okay. All right. So back to Universal. Where did you stay?
Another game changer, right? Okay, so if we're talking about points and Chase, you are going to hear repeatedly in the community that Hyatt is the best. And we love Hyatts. And I knew there were a couple of things I wanted. I knew that I wanted free breakfast because I knew food costs were going to be crazy and it was going to be very important for us to be loading up. I guess I should caveat that we are a very budget podcast over there. You might be able to tell that I don't like to spend money.
I
So
love it.
everything that we do is in the pursuit of like the least out of pocket cost possible and like the best memories possible.
I
So
love it.
we are the free breakfast is our love language. That is our tagline over on our show. So we love a free breakfast buffet where you can not only load up, but you can also pack snacks or whatever you want to do and bring food with you for the rest of the day. So the Hyatt Place across from Universal Studios, that's literally what it's called.
Okay, I was
Um,
dying at this actually because I was doing a little bit of my own research last night for this. And I'm like, wait, is the hotel name on Hyatt.com actually the
yes,
Hyatt across from Universal Orlando? Like, that is the name
yes.
on the Hyatt website. So
That is the
specific.
It is so specific. And right next door is the Hyatt House across from Universal Orlando
Okay,
Resort.
funny.
So
So you guys aren't gonna miss it if you look for this because that's literally what it's called.
you are not going to miss it. And it was a game changer because what I did not realize is that it is actually a partner hotel. And it was not advertised as a partner hotel. Like I did not notice that. I knew they had a shuttle, but I didn't know that there was going to be an on-site Universal concierge who could print out our tickets for us and buy additional passes or line skips right there at the hotel if we wanted. I knew that it wasn't a like resort property hotel because those you're getting into 300, 400, $500 a night. Those come with early access to the park, and sometimes they come with line skips. Those were not anywhere on my radar. I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I picked this because of the points price per night, the free breakfast, and the shuttle. And it just so happened that it also had all of these extra features, such as the ability to walk downstairs and print our tickets that we bought through the Chase Travel Portal rather than having to go to will call when we got to the park.
So what
So
was the
I
hotel like? Like, what's the overall vibe and just kind of general? What's the hotel lobby rooms like?
Yes, so it's very family friendly and basic and nice. The room was actually much larger than I anticipated. It had two queen beds and then had kind of a separate front space with a pull-out couch.
Oh,
So
great.
we
You could have brought more
anticipated
people.
we could have, and we actually anticipated like sharing beds, like, two and two, and instead one of the girls slept on the pull-out couch. So, it ended
You could
up where
spread
not
out a little
everyone
bit
had to
more.
share. It was great. It was plenty of room for all of our stuff. It was very nice. It was very modern. We had no complaints about anything. It wasn't fancy
Yeah.
at all. It's not the place you're going to have like this amazing luxury hotel experience, but it was everything we needed. The food at the hotel, the dinner was kind of, if you've ever stayed at Hyatt houses or Hyatt places, a lot of them have the same restaurant called like the Foundry Market, and they offer a lot of the same things. So I went to Minneapolis and it was the exact same menu. It was wings and burgers and truffle fries and it's all good. It's not amazing and it's overpriced, but it's
Yeah.
it's fine if you're in a pinch. And we actually walked into the Hyatt House next door. The Hyatt House is going to be a little bit different. Usually, rooms are bigger at a Hyatt House. So, if you have a bigger family, you can usually fit more people. And a lot of times, you can find a Hyatt House room that has a full kitchen or like a cooking space with a bigger fridge. So, that's a nice food hack for cost saving there, especially if you have a big family. And the Hyatt House lobby was stunning. It had a big chandelier. It was very modern. It was way fancier looking than the Hyatt Place next door. And the girls were like, why didn't we stay here? Which, of course, I was like, well, because we are staying for 9,000 points a night and I didn't want to pay 12,000 points
Yeah.
a night. That's why. That's it. So, but there are those two options right next door. They both use the same shuttle. They both have a concierge on site. So they work directly with the park. So either of those would be amazing choices. And if you have a bigger family, the Hyatt House might be the way to go.
That is great tips. And I'm just going to share. So when we went in November, it was our first time ever to Universal. We didn't even I mean, I hadn't read Harry Potter. My daughter and husband had read a few of them, but we can get into the parks later. But we just kind of went on a whim because this is like a long story, but I have a family member. It's like my dad's aunt. So it's kind of, but she works for Universal and she's actually the interior designer for like a lot of these lands. And she couldn't even tell me what she was working on. I found out later it was like Epic Universe stuff.
No.
But so, anyways,
Amazing.
she lives in Orlando and doesn't have any kids. It like they're grown now. And so she was like, somehow she found out what I was doing with travel stuff or whatever. And she was like, hey, if you ever want like a family pass, I get one a year. So it's not like I can go down every month. But I was like, are you serious? Like it could get up to 6 people in Universal. So I was like, we'll be there. So I figured out like over Thanksgiving, we could go down there. So that was taken care of, but we still needed
Yeah.
to figure out lodging. And I did splurge and go for one of the on-property places because she had like a discount code or whatever. Anyways, I'm saying all this to say, we stayed at Sapphire Falls, Lowe's
Ooh.
Sapphire Falls, which is a lovely and considered one of the nicer places to stay at Universal. Um, it was cute. The lobby was nice. The rooms were like nautical themed. They were cute. I was looking back at my photos. I'm like, those were cute. The pool was nice. It had a water slide and kind of like a beachy feel. But I was like, compared to Disney on property, I was just like, it
Yeah.
wasn't doing it, and it did not feel like $400 to $500 a night. And so my husband was just like, this does not seem like what I was expecting. And so I'm
Yeah.
just sharing that to say, if you're wanting to do a Universal trip with your family, maybe staying across the street at these Hyatts isn't the worst idea because it's not like you're missing this crazy magical experience with cast members and all the things. It's just not that. And it's still really expensive. And in addition, the best way to get to the parks from Sapphire Falls was this boat, which seemed super cute. And we're like, yay. So we go down to the boat and there's a lot of people in line and it's hot. And I'm like, we didn't even make it on the first boat. We stood in that boat
Oh,
line for like 45 minutes to an hour. I was like, what are we doing? I should have been on the shuttle from the Hyatt place. So anyhow, my experience was fine, but I would not be rushing to book on property again at Universal. So I'm loving these tips. And speaking of getting over
yeah.
there, tell us what the process is like getting from these Hyatt hotels to the parks.
Yeah, and that's really important to know. And it was another thing I didn't know before coming. So you do have to reserve your spot on the shuttle.
Oh, that's really good to
And
know.
yeah, and you have to do it 24 hours in advance. So I tried when we got to the hotel the day that we checked in, we arrived about 3. They said, hey, if you want to go on the shuttle to Universal, you have to reserve a spot. I said, okay, can I reserve a spot now? And they said, oh, well, the concierge is not here now. The concierge is only here in the mornings, and you have to reserve directly with the concierge. So you're going to have to get up and be the first person there tomorrow morning when the concierge arrives at 7 to book your spot. So I did that, and she also allowed me that morning to book for the next day, but I couldn't book the following 2 days because we
That's
had
like
four
a
days
little
in the
tricky
park.
for like a family trip. You're like, okay, let me just get this in order and not have to wake up at 7 and run down here.
Exactly. So the first day was a little bit frustrating because I wanted to be the first person there. So I booked our spot on the shuttle. There's 4 shuttle times. There's like a 7:30 and 8:15 and 9 something and a 10 something. They're all there on a sign. And it's great because depending on what kind of day you're trying to have at the park, there's something for everybody. If you're getting on that early one, then you'll have tons of time to experience City Walk, which we can talk about in a second. And then kind of get in line and be one of the first people to the rides. And that's really, really nice. But also, if you're having a leisurely day, it's your day 4, you don't want to be at the park at 7 a.m. that day, you can go over at 10. And realistically, if you had to Uber, it would probably cost you like $7. It's very close.
Okay,
And if you're
cool.
really feeling like dehydrating yourself, you could walk. It's probably a mile and a half. There's a bridge over, but you walk so much when you're there, nobody actually wants to do that.
Okay.
So the tip is to book as many days as they'll let you book, but know that you have to keep coming back and know that you also want to arrive early because you're getting on that shuttle in the order that you arrive to the shuttle, and they pack that shuttle, and some people are standing. So if you are a person who would like to be sitting down and you're riding the 7:30 shuttle, I would say be standing outside at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We were not standing every single time, or we were not sitting every single time. We had a mix of both.
And if people were doing this and they were going to be flying the next day, could they call Hyatt from home and reserve their spot on the shuttle like the day before?
That that's a great question, and I feel like you probably could if you called during the hours that the concierge was there.
Okay.
I didn't know in advance, so I didn't try that, but I would definitely give it a shot because especially if you come after the concierge is done and you want to go to the parks the next day, that's a little stressful. I was like, what if there's no spots? There were though.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about day one and like getting over to Universal and finally deciding what you're doing. For people who haven't been there, there's 2 lands or parks. One's called Islands of Adventure, and one is called Universal Studios Orlando, which is kind of confusing because you kind of think the whole thing's Universal Studios. But
Yep.
anyhow, and the other thing that's really nice, I thought when I went was like, oh, they're both like right here. You get dropped off or you park or whatever, and it's like one's to the left and one's to the right. Whereas in Disney, you have to like travel 15 minutes by planes, trains, and automobiles to even get from like one park to the next. So they're all kind of within walking distance of each other, but they have different things on different sides. So did you have any
Yes.
main priorities, and what did you do that first day?
Great question. So we really kind of came up with a plan of attack to maximize our 4 days. And I am the biggest Harry Potter nerd in the entire world. So really
Yes.
all I cared about was seeing the Harry Potter stuff. Although once I was there and saw how incredibly done everything is, I just fell in love with the whole park. I didn't really remember anything about it from being a kid. I could remember like the ET ride.
Yeah.
And throwing up after the Men in Black ride. So those are my memories. And I was like, this is so immersive. It's so incredible. Everything is built like it's real. It doesn't feel like you're on a set or like it's made for kids. And it was so magical. So we didn't know what to expect. We had no idea. And when we got there, we were like, okay, plan of attack. First day, we're going to walk this entire thing. If we pass things with short rides, short lines, because the line time is on the outside of every ride,
Mhm.
we're just going to ride it real quick because why not? And we're going to get a layout. And then our days 2 and 3, we're going to have a plan for exactly what rides we want to ride. We're going to have an idea of line times. We're going to hit the ground running. So I feel like we did this in such a methodical way, and it really ended up working out super well. So we went right initially and started in Universal Orlando Resort and worked our way back through and around. We ended up taking the Hogwarts train across, which you can do if you have a park hopper pass. You can take the train to Islands of Adventure, which is very cute.
Yes, that was one of our favorite parts. I was like, this is absolutely adorable. And like I said, I hadn't read the books, I hadn't seen the movies. We immediately got home and watched every single movie in order because I was so overwhelmed with how incredibly done it was. I just fell in love with the entire world and the train and everything. So when we were there, it was November. So I was wondering if all times of the year do the buildings and houses have snow on them and garland and wreaths, or is that special for? No, you're like, I have
No,
to go back.
I have
It
to
was
go back at Christmas
it was
time.
so pretty. There was snow on top of all the roofs, and there were wreaths and garland lining everything. And I was like obsessed.
Oh my gosh.
Video
I mean,
after this.
I'm already a person who wants to go to like European Christmas markets so bad it actually hurts my body to think about it and know that
Yeah.
I can't do that this year. So that feels like it might fulfill a little bit of that feeling for me. That sounds incredible. It is not like that at all. It was not decorated for Christmas at all, but still, like you said, it's so immersive, so incredible, especially the Harry Potter worlds. It's incredible. The details are incredible.
Yeah, well, they say
And
one of the most fun things to do, which I kind of got a video of my kids. They say it's actually kind of hard to find the Diagon Alley, just like in the books. You have to kind of go behind this wall and you kind of tuck behind something, and then you walk through it, and you're literally overwhelmed with everything you see.
I
And so they
cried.
say, yeah, they say to turn around and watch a few more people walk through that walkway because the reactions are just like so overwhelming if someone has never walked through there before. So it's kind of fun. If you do it, turn around and watch a few other people walk through that little Diagon Alley walkway. Hey, Trip Tales listeners. So, you all know how much I absolutely love creating content for Trip Tales, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to combine their love for travel and chatting with amazing people? But let's be real. As much fun as this is, travel content creation can be a bit pricey. From flights to hours of editing, while I juggle the chaos of being a mom of 3, it's a wild but awesome ride. But guess what? There's this super cool website called buymeacoffee.com that was made specifically for creators like me and coffee lovers like, well, all of us. You can now support Trip Tales by literally buying me a coffee. Trust me, this busy mom could use a little caffeine boost to keep bringing you all the travel tales and tips you love. Plus, here's the fun part. If you do buy me a coffee, I'll give you a special shout out by name in the next episode. So, if you enjoy the podcast and want to support the show and my grocery bill, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves or click the link in the show notes. A huge thank you in advance for considering it and for keeping my coffee cup full and my mic on. All right, now let's dive back into today's episode.
I love that. It's like turning around to look at the groom when the bride's walking
Yes.
down the aisle. I wish that I had thought to do that, but I got a video of the kids walking through there for the first time, and my friend got a video of me crying. So,
Yes.
I
Did you
mean, it
guys
was
go to the
just
wand shop?
we did, but I am not a souvenir person. For me, I can't stomach spending money on something that I know is just going to sit and clutter my house. But the girls both had their own budgets. They brought cash, and the rule was this is it. I am here to buy the food for you guys, but there will be no extra for the things. You both have your own money. You spend it how you want. And I said, we're not spending any money on anything till day 4. So make a plan, write everything down,
Yeah, that's smart. Look at
formulate
all
what
the
things.
options because
Yeah,
then, yeah.
I said, first of all, we're not carrying around your stuff and having to put it in lockers because you bought something on day 1 and then had to carry it all day. Second, you're going to see 9,000 things you want to buy. This will help you decide what you actually want and what you're fine with leaving off. So that was part of our formulation was see things that you want to buy, write them down, write down what shop they come from and how much they cost. So that was like a little, kid budgeting hack. It felt kind of smart. I was like, look at
It's
me
very
teaching
smart.
teaching life skills over
Here
here.
at Universal.
Right.
Um, you're like, this might be a fancy, expensive trip, but we are not buying fancy, expensive souvenirs.
No, no, this is an illusion, you guys. This is all
Yeah.
on points. So it's you can pretend that we spent $3,000 on this
Yeah.
trip,
You're
but
like,
we
does the
didn't.
wand shop accept points or no?
That would have been amazing. The
Well,
only thing I bought for myself was a Harry Potter ornament.
oh,
So
sweet.
I have to get a travel ornament everywhere.
Well, I have to give a little wand hack real quick because when we went, we did not buy the fancy ones, but I also had not done a ton of Universal research. And like I said, I wasn't a huge Harry Potter person. So I didn't know what the wands did. So just for someone that
Mm,
hasn't been or doesn't know, the fun part about going to the wand shop and getting one of the cool interactive ones, which are expensive, is that all throughout both Harry Potter worlds, there are interactive ways you can use the wand. So all of the shop windows that are
mhm.
super cool and creative. My aunt probably designed them all. But there will be like a little mouse with I'm just making this up, but with knitting needles. And if you go up and use your wand, it will start knitting a scarf.
Yes.
Or there's like a umbrella just kind of sitting there. And if you wave your wand at it, it will start raining real water. So it's a super cool way, especially for kids that aren't as into the big rides and getting on all the rides, to spend a ton of time walking around this world in a very interactive way. So that's the fun wand thing. But the
Yes.
other thing is that you can't see these in the wand shop because they're much cheaper, but there are cheaper Harry Potter wands that just have a light on the end of them, which is actually what looks like they have in the movie a lot of the times, where the end just lights up a little bit. These are much cheaper. I don't remember the cost. Let's say it was $35 or 30 or something. My littlest really wanted a wand, but she's 6. She doesn't really get it. So we got her the cheap wand. The olders, they decided they wanted something else, but she thought she was doing all the interactive things because it's so crowded. There are enough kids around her doing the wands right behind her that she thought she was
Yeah.
doing all the interactive exhibits, and she just had a fake wand, and she still loves it because it lights up whenever you move it. It's in her room. So that's like a little hack. If you've got youngers, they can still get a wand, and yeah, it's not going to do the things, but the things are all going to be going because everybody else is using the wand. So that's my little
Correct.
wand rant.
It's a perfect hack. It's perfect. Yeah, my kids, I think they're too big to even get into the one thing, but we did enjoy for anyone who has not seen this on the internet, when you go into the wand shop, they have a recreating of the scene where Harry's wand chooses him. And if you go into the little room in the back, which you have to wait in line for, but it's really, really fun, they pick one kid out of the audience and the whole scene interacts with this child and the person interacts with this child. And essentially they get a wand to choose them, and then you have the option, of course, to buy that wand. And I told my daughter, I was like, obviously, if a wand chooses you, we're gonna buy it. Because
Okay,
like,
I saw that
but
line
it didn't.
next to the wand shop and I did not know what it was. So I'm so glad you just said
Oh,
that.
that's sad.
Well, I don't
It
know if we
is
would
really
have.
cool.
This is pre our Harry Potter obsession, so I don't know if
Right,
we
right,
even would
right.
have done it. Also, I feel like if you stand in that line and the wand chooses you, you get it for free. That should not. You shouldn't have to buy it
You
at that point.
should. I totally agree with that. But of course, they know that parents are never going to be able to tell their
Right.
kids no once the wand has chosen them. So it's very smart.
Did you guys
And
do that
it's
and watch the little
we
presentation?
did. We did. And it didn't choose either of the kids that I had with me. It chose some other little girl because I'm positive that they are not interested in these gangly teens. Like they want like
Yeah.
the cute little kids who believe in the magic. So I told the
Yes.
girls going in, I was like, please don't have your hopes high. This neither of you are being chosen. And I was correct.
Is it still
Um,
worth it to stand in line for like the little
it
sweetness
took
of the show?
I think so. I think it's such a cute, magical experience. I mean, it's so interactive in the way that like wind blows and this little girl's hair was blowing
Oh,
backwards, and
cute.
she really felt like she made a bunch of boxes fly off the shelf. It's very cool to watch and really, really fun to just see the like joy on kids' faces. We maybe waited 15 minutes. It wasn't bad. They
Okay.
have them every, 2 times an hour. And I don't know. I don't know how often, but it wasn't bad at all.
Okay. Also in Diagon Alley, speaking of things that happen every so often, there's a massive dragon on top of the bank. Is it Gringotts Bank that it's on top of,
Correct.
maybe?
Yes.
And I think it's every 10 minutes it spews fire and it's like loud and
So
it
cool.
roars and you can actually like feel the fire. It's pretty cool and intense. So that's a fun thing to look forward to and take a little video of as well.
Yep.
I have to ask you if you guys were able to get on Hagrid's motorbike because this is the number one ride that everybody says you have to do. It's so good. It's so amazing. And so I'd been told that, and I'm a planner and I knew that. But when we got to Universal, I told you it was kind of a happenstance trip because we got this pass, which was amazing. But we were en route from like two different places. Like my daughter and I were coming from a dance competition in Orlando, and the others were joining us from a Southwest flight. And then we had one day before we had to drive down to South Florida to meet my family for Thanksgiving. And we were all a hot mess that night and the next morning. And I had set my alarm. I was like, if we're going to go on to Hagrid's, over there first. And everybody was passed out snoring. And I was like, I'm going to make a mom decision and just let everybody sleep. And so we actually just like slept in. And I knew that Hagrid's was not going to happen. By the time we even got to that ride, it was like 2 hours long. I was like, nope, not happening in our
Yes.
one day at Universal.
Correct. And I think this is why having multiple days is a game changer, especially when they have those sales where you're getting the 2 days free. To me, 4 days felt like a sweet spot. 5 days would have been too many. And their sale right now is buy 3 days, get 2 days free. And I'm like, that's rude.
Yeah,
Okay. Nobody wants to go for 5 days. That's
right.
crazy.
That's enough
Bring back
Universal.
the buy two, get two. Yeah. But we did get to go and we went multiple times because the first day we decided everything we ride, we're going to ride together. No solo rider lines. For anyone that doesn't know, a lot of the rides have a solo rider line, which means you're in line with your group, but you are being placed singly with other people's groups. So we knew there were things we wanted to experience together. And then if we loved anything and were willing to split up, we could then conquer them later in the week and ride shorter lines and just not be together. So Hagrid was one of the ones that I took advantage of the solo rider line. But day one, we waited maybe an hour.
Okay,
And
that's
I
not
did
too
not
bad
think
for
that
that
was
ride.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. And for anybody going, download the app. You can check the ride times on the app, which is very helpful. It helps you plan if you're going to walk halfway across the park to get in a line or not. But the lines were never as long as they said. I think it said that line was an hour and 30 minutes, and we were in and on the ride and off the ride in under an hour. The next day, the line was longer. And so I decided to do single rider. The other people in my group didn't want to stand in line. They wanted to go shopping. It was 35 minutes from the start of the line on the ride, off the ride in 35 minutes. So that was a game changer. And that ride is the best thing I've ever been on. And I got to ride in the front seat, the front car, my single rider experience with a strange teenager. Like it must have been like a 15-year-old teenage boy. And if you've seen this ride, it's like you're on a motorcycle, they're in a sidecar. It's like you know each other, but you
Yeah.
don't. So I was like, am I supposed to talk to you? We made some awkward conversation, but it didn't matter. It was the best thing ever to be in the front seat of that ride.
So
I've
it's worth
never
it. It's worth the
it
wait if you can get on that ride.
100%. I would highly, highly recommend it. And the amazing thing about Universal is that the lines are beautiful. They're all part of the experience. So now Hagrid's half of it is outside and you are burning up, especially when you're there in June. It's the armpit of hell in Florida in June. So that's not very fun, but it's gorgeous. You're going through these castle ruins. And then once you get inside, you're inside the castle. Everything is beautifully decorated. Everything fits in with the story. There's some hologram parts where you're actually seeing the characters and they're talking. Like, you're never bored.
Yeah.
At least the first time. Now, once you start doing it multiple times, you're like, okay, I've seen this.
Yeah.
But really, we didn't feel like lines were that bad.
Yeah. That's how, like, the escape from Gringotts.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to say this a million times and you're going to be like, we get it. You weren't a Harry Potter fan, but I didn't know anything. And I was like, this is the most amazing. You walk into like the bank and there's this massive chandelier and all these, are they like goblins or whatever that are like
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
the bank teller desks, and
It
it
looks
is
so real.
so immersive and so cool. And then I watched the movie and I was like, that's exactly what it looked like. It's
I
so
know.
cool.
I know. It's the best. It makes lines amazing. I thought I have a child with ADHD who is not a patient human. And I was like, this might be horrible. It was great. They did great. They were fine. We
Yeah.
played hand games and we even in the VelociCoaster ride, which is another viral ride, we made friends with this group of kids next to us and we were playing that heads up game
Yeah,
on our
I was
phone.
gonna say that's what we do. The free version, you can
Yes.
download a free version, and
Yep.
there's even like an amusement park deck or whatever. And
Oh,
so, or maybe it was like, I don't know if it's Disney or amusement park or whatever, but we would play that often
yeah.
in line, and other kids would like join in.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
fun. It's great.
Okay, so while we're talking about rides, let's just talk through some of your absolute favorites. Like if you were to go back next week, what you would absolutely have to hit up, because we didn't do a ton of the big coasters because my kids were still littler. We did a
Yeah.
lot of the Harry Potter, and we loved Dr. Seuss Land because I have a 6-year-old and it was just so cute. And it was Christmas. So we saw the Grinch show, like live show, which was
Oh, love
incredible.
it.
And the Who's were walking around. But anyhow, let's talk about some of the rides that you would absolutely go on again if you were going back next week, just so we can hear about your favorites.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, I've already raved about Hagrid's motorbike. That one is a total game changer. I love roller coasters, but it's just like so smooth, so immersive, so fun. The VelociCoaster is supposed to be all of those things, and it actually scared me because of the seats. There is nothing over the top of your body. It is only over your lap,
Okay, so
and
it's
you
not
go
one of
upside
the
down.
over restraints.
No,
And you go
it
upside
comes.
down?
Yes, it's
It's
a really
crazy.
tight, huge contraption that's around your stomach and your legs, but I felt like I was going to slip out of it, and it
Ugh.
scared me to death. Everyone else in my group loved it, and I probably would have done it again, just mentally preparing myself, but we didn't want to wait in the line again because it got really long. So that was not one we did a second time. But I also loved the Gringotts Bank, and a similar one to Gringotts Bank in style is the Mummy ride.
We didn't do
We
that
went
one.
we went on that like 4 times. It was
Oh,
so
awesome.
fun. It was so fun. I love these indoor ones that are on a track. It's not all motion simulation, but it's mild but so exciting in terms of like the screen or the fire or the different elements they add to it. It was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved it. And then my favorite like chill ride was in Jurassic World, and it is the water ride. And I can't even remember what it's called, but you're on a boat
Wait, I
going
wrote it
through.
down because this was my favorite too. Jurassic Park River
Hilarious.
Adventure.
Yes.
But at
We
the
went
end,
on
it's
it
kind
like
of
eight
intense, right?
times. Okay, it is very intense, but the
Okay.
beginning is the most peaceful, lovely. I tried to get a video of it, and my daughter literally made me put my phone down, and she was like, "You will not. You will just enjoy this experience." And I was like, "But I need my B-roll," is what she doesn't
Yes.
care.
No,
She
I
does
love
not
that
care
you
about the
said
internet.
that because it's kind of like an old school ride too, where it's not
Yeah.
all like I do like the ones with the screens that can tell the story and stuff, but it's a boat ride and you feel like you're in the movie. Talk about like a set.
Yes.
You feel like you're in the Jurassic Park movie, and they do a really good job of being like, oh no, we're going the wrong way. And there was a thrill at the end, which my 6-year-old did not
So
like.
fun.
We all loved it,
Oh,
but yeah, you
uh-oh.
kind of go off track, and then the Tyrannosaurus Rexes are running around, and then you do go up a little ways, and then you do a small drop, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex kind of like screams in your face. The 6-year-old burst into
Yep.
tears. So I was like, I'm sorry, honey,
Oh,
I didn't know that was going to happen at the end, but I was like, but I loved that.
I loved it. I'm already a huge Jurassic Park fan, and so is my daughter. And just the way that that feels when the gates open and the music, the theme music from Jurassic Park plays,
Hmm.
and there's like fog machines, and then you see the peaceful dinosaurs in the water. I literally felt like I was in the movie in Jurassic Park. I was like, I never want to be anywhere else but
Yes,
this
I
moment.
loved that ride
And
too.
then it's got that nice downhill,
Yeah.
adrenaline at the end. So you do get a little damp if you're sitting in the wrong spot. We sat in several spots through that ride the multiple times we went. And one time we didn't get wet at all. The other time we got super wet. And I was like, okay, I don't really want to walk around damp all day, but I'll do it again.
Yeah. And then the last ride we have to touch on is the Hogwarts Express because it's just so cute. This is a good tip. Like you kind of think you go to Universal and you have tickets for the whole thing, but you do have to have Park Hopper to be able to access both sides. I think Islands
Yep.
of Adventure has more of the big coasters, and then Universal Studios has more of the like Dr. Seuss Land and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But there still is Harry Potter on both sides, which is kind of
Yep.
cool. And so the easiest way to get from one side of the park to the other is to take the Hogwarts Express, and it feels just like the movie, and they
So
utilize
cute.
screens to make you feel like, because you are actually on a train moving, but the way they do the screens, you look like you're traveling through Harry Potter world, and it's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, you feel like you've actually got on in King's Cross Station and you're heading to Hogwarts and Hogsmeade and all of that kind of stuff. The way they've done it is brilliant. It's so cute. We did end up waiting a ridiculous amount of time for the train the second time we took it back. And after that, we decided we were good. We're going to
Yeah.
walk this from now on. So it's kind of a one-time experience. Enjoy it. And then if there is no line, we would have chosen that as a way to get back. But if you're waiting 45 minutes to get on that train, you can easily just walk out and walk around and get into the other park that way. And that was our preference over just standing in a line feeling like we were wasting our time. I also want to give caveat for people that have motion sickness. I can tell you what not to ride, and I
Mhm.
think that this is so important because nobody told me. Nobody warned me, and I am the queen of getting motion sick. I had Dramamine, Bonine, Zofran. I had the patches that go behind your ears. I had the pressure bracelet,
Had it
and
all.
I none of those could even hold up to the Jimmy Fallon in New York ride,
Oh
the
my gosh, funny.
Simpsons
I went
ride.
on that and didn't think anything of it just because I don't get motion sick, but it is a lot of movement and a lot of screen.
It killed me. It killed me. The Jimmy Fallon and the Simpsons ride are very similar. You're sitting in a car, there's a big screen, and the car just kind of moves side to side and up and down, and the screen takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
Similar, the Hogwarts Castle ride, you are on a big claw arm that's moving, but it's also entirely screen, and the movement is very side to side, up and down. It's not like Gringotts where you're moving on a track and there's screen. That one didn't bother me at all, weirdly enough. So those three, I would say avoid at all costs if you're motion sick. I don't think it's worth it at all. And you mentioned the Dr. Seuss land. Did you guys ride the Cat in the Hat book ride? The cute one that's like a
Yes.
little train through the Cat in the
Yes.
Hat book? Okay. Do you know the space where you exit that ride into the gift shop?
Maybe.
Does
I
that
mean, not
ring
really.
a bell
No.
for you? So when you exit that ride, you go through this big, open, empty indoor space that is low lit with blue lights. There's nobody in there. It is between the ride and the gift shop. It is ice cold and air conditioned, and it is the most calming, quiet space to sit down and have a break in all of Universal
Regroup.
Studios. We went back to that spot and sat on the floor in that spot so many times. We brought food to go sit in that spot and eat. I was like,
That's
this
a
is a
great
game changer.
tip.
I was
Yes.
scared to tell people about it because I'm afraid everybody is going to be
Next time
in
you go
that
back, it's
alcove.
like all these people picnicking in that little area.
Yes, because you can't just go in a gift shop and plop down on the floor. You are in the way.
Yeah.
And there are not many or any indoor seating areas. And when it's 100 degrees outside, you are regularly feeling like you're going to die. So it felt like such a win to like this little hidden alcove in the Dr. Seuss gift shop slash ride.
That's
I don't know.
awesome. Dr. Seuss Land is really cute if you have littles. There's just a lot of sweet little rides and it's all very themed and whimsical and adorable. I got some cute pictures of the kids in there. Did you have any like food priorities or drink like butterbeer priorities while you were in the park that you wanted to hit up that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Well, I had to try a butter beer and I actually didn't like it. And
Yeah,
I'm not a sweet beverage person. I don't drink sweet coffee. I don't drink soda. Um, I didn't really know what to expect, but it was very, very sweet. And I was glad that I got to taste it, but there was no chance of me even finishing a whole thing, which made me feel like I wasted money and I did not like that. We knew going in, we are not buying drinks except for that anywhere in this park. We bought water bottles for each of us on the first day, the refillable plastic throwaway waters. They're like $6 a person. We got one for each of us. And there are these Coke machines all over the park that have ice cold free water. They're everywhere. And we just refilled them the
that's
whole
a
time.
great
And
tip.
we brought them back empty the next day. And I cannot say enough good things about Fabletics biker shorts with the deep pockets. Okay. I had water bottles stuffed in those biker short pockets the entire week. And we were allowed on almost every ride with those empty water bottles in the pockets, which meant we didn't have to keep buying new waters. We kept refilling. That's one of my money saving tips. In terms of food, there were plenty of things we wanted to try, and we did try. We loved the Tots at Green Eggs and Ham in the Dr. Seuss land. Those are like famous on the internet and so delicious. Buffalo chicken tots are everything.
Yum.
There's a crepe making stand at in the beginning of Universal Orlando, kind of in the old Hollywood area, and they make sweet crepes and they also make savory crepes. And the savory crepe was like the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life. All of these things are shareable. If you're not weird about germs in food, I would say if you have a party of four, start with two. If you need to buy more, buy more. But there was never a point where any of us could have finished our own portion of any of this stuff. And so I feel like splitting food costs was great because you got to try everything you wanted, but you didn't have to be sick because you ate too much or you didn't have to throw food away and you didn't have to spend as much. In Diagon Alley, where you buy the butter beer,
Hmm.
they also have chicken and beef pasties, I believe is how you pronounce it. They almost look like an empanada,
Okay.
but they're not seasoned like an empanada. It's seasoned like almost like a fall dish. It's got very herby flavors to it. And I don't know what is in these with the chicken and beef. It seems like there might be some sweet potatoes and some other vegetables. They are so freaking delicious.
I
I went
wish I
back
would have known that because my
multiple.
family stood in line for like 35, 40 minutes for butterbeer and I had no interest in it as well. So I think I took the little one to go do something else, but I didn't know those were there too.
And that's the only place I saw them. I did
Mm.
not see them at any other food shop anywhere in Harry Potter, anything. Now they could be, and maybe I just missed it, but that was the only place. And they are delicious. And for whatever reason, if you get the beef ones, I believe you get three small ones. If you get the chicken ones, you get two that are a little bit larger. But it's another example of stuff that's so easy to share. It's a great little snack. They weren't that expensive. I would go back to Universal Studios just to eat those, which I think sounds a little crazy, but I'm not kidding. They were so good. Maybe it's because I was starving,
Yeah.
but
You're
I
like, I've
dream
walked
about them now.
20,000 steps.
Oh, we really did. We were averaging like 23,000 steps
Yeah.
a day while we were there. So that was completely insane. I would also say if you're going in the summer like that, bring packs of liquid IV in your
Mhm.
fanny pack
Yeah, that's smart.
because there were a couple of moments there where I was like, "Oh, wow, I am so dizzy."
Yeah, that
Because
happened
you're
to me at
just
Disney World. I was like, babe, go get me a Gatorade immediately or a Powerade or whatever they had. And that helps. The
yeah.
electrolytes really help if you have been sweating too much and you're exhausted. It changes everything.
Yeah, for sure. Game changer. I forgot to mention another favorite roller coaster, and I don't even remember what it's called, but it is in Universal side of things, and it is this big red roller coaster.
Is it
And it
like the
allows,
Rip'n Rocket or something?
I think you're right. Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's what it's called. It allows you to choose music
Yes.
When you're on it, it's pretty scary. Like the ups, the downs,
Well,
it's
because
pretty
this is
intense.
the one that goes straight up and then
Mhm.
immediately goes
Mhm.
straight down, right? Yeah, I
Yes.
saw that one. And my husband and I were like, we would do it, but our kids were just getting into coasters when we were there and they were all like, absolutely not. So we kind of had a different
Oh
type of
yeah.
trip, but it looked cool.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it was amazing. And they have like 4 or 5 different songs, each from a different genre to choose from. And one of the songs is Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance,
Yes,
which
I
my
love that
14-year-old
song.
my 14-year-old emo heart
Yes.
was just so happy. So we're like going up this hill, and I'm like, when I was a young boy. I was
If
so
my
scared,
husband
but
had known that, he would have been like, we're getting on that coaster. Kids, sit right here. We'll be right back.
that's awesome. You're gonna have to go as an adult trip. I feel like I want to take my fiance back and experience that trip with no kid
Yeah,
demands
do
at all.
whatever
I feel
you
like it would
want.
be
Yeah.
it would be so fun. And it really is a very different trip when you're going even with middle schoolers than when you're going with younger kids. Because for us, we knew every person was riding every time. There's nobody to hold stuff. There's no stroller. There's
Yeah.
none of that. So we knew like we can only bring fanny packs. We can't bring things that need to be getting locked up every single ride. We're not bringing in outside food because like where are we going to carry it or put it all day? So
Yeah.
it is a different kind of trip. I feel like it would actually have been really nice to have a person who's like a non-rider stroller pusher because then
Well,
you don't
yeah,
have to
the
think about.
stroller, it's like so nice when you get out of stroller days, but the first time you go back to like a park or an airport without it, you're like, oh, that was kind of nice. It like stored all our stuff all day long, and now we have to carry this all.
Exactly. It is very different. It's a different headspace. And I'm with kids all the time. So I'm used to having a stroller in my job life a lot of
Yes.
the times. And then I was like, wait,
Where's my stroller?
where's my stroller? No, and the middle schoolers need to carry their own things. But guess how many times that I was asked to carry stuff on our shopping day? Mom, will you hold
Yes.
this bag?
Did you guys do Volcano Bay?
No.
Okay.
I feel like most people don't even know it exists.
It looks so cool though. I'm like, I feel
It
like I want to try it. And if you do get, if you like splurge and get express passes, they work there too, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, and we did look into it, and it would have been like an additional $200+ a person just for one day of express passes. And I was like, no, sorry, guys, not
Yeah.
doing it. Um, but it did look very cool, and I knew nothing about it. I just knew it was a water park, and no one was really interested.
Okay.
But I think now knowing that we've done all of Universal and Islands of Adventure, it would be fun to try it out. It is an additional cost. So if anybody's wondering if you're buying tickets, you would then have to get the three park
Right.
hopper tickets, not just the two. I don't know if you can buy Volcano Bay on its own. You might be able to.
We're going to have to check on the Chase Sapphire portal
We
after
sure are.
this.
I bet it's cheaper. I feel like
Yeah.
a water park is always cheaper than a theme park. So
Yeah, definitely. Did you guys do anything in Orlando outside of Universal Studios, or was it pretty much wake up, go to the park, and then crash later in the evening?
the only thing that we did was on day one, we went over to Disney Springs.
Oh, fun.
It was very cute. We just Ubered over there, had lunch there, walked around, saw the shops. It's really, really cute. For anyone who hasn't seen it or hasn't heard of it, they call it Downtown Disney. And it's just all like the Disney themed shops and restaurants, and it's really cute. And it was a nice day to pass one of our non-park days. I do not recommend eating in the Rainforest Cafe, though. It is not worth the hype.
No. And the food is just okay.
It
We have
was
one here in Nashville.
terrible.
Yeah. There's so many better restaurants in Disney Springs than Rainforest Cafe, but it's
The
really
kids
hard to get
wanted to eat in a
reservations.
volcano.
Oh, yeah. You're like, what about the boathouse? That one looks fancy.
Literally anywhere but there. And we also considered, and this is a tip that somebody who lives in Orlando told me to do. She said, ride the Disney monorail and get off at all the Disney resorts and walk around the
No, it's
Disney
super
resorts,
fun. Yeah. You
eat
can get
lunch
little
on the
treats there.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we did think about doing that, but ultimately we were too tired and we decided not to.
Yeah, well, I have a love-hate relationship with Disney Springs because anytime we go down to Orlando for a dance competition with my seventh grade daughter, that's like the only thing you can do that's like relatively free other than riding the monorail, which is actually smarter because it ends up being cheaper because
Yeah.
you're just going in and out of hotels and maybe getting something to eat. But Disney Springs, I am like, these girls, and it's just got all the shops they want to spend all the money at. They're like, Lululemon and all these places. Can we go in here? And it's just like on steroids because there's a billion people. And then you kind of feel like, well, we're on this trip. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, it feels like so much work because all you're doing, the only thing to do there is spend money other than
Yeah.
walk around and look at
Yep.
like,
It's basically an outdoor mall
yeah.
and it is all inflated prices. So
Yeah. And it's like
luckily,
Lego and all the things. Like it's just too
yeah.
much.
Well, and they already knew that if you want to buy something, you buy it yourself. And they weren't
Yeah.
ready to make any choices on day one. We actually did walk across the street. I forgot about this. There's an outlet mall across the street from the hotels. You can walk there. It took us 15 minutes to walk. It's a little bit of a convoluted way, but they loved the outlet mall. And we went into some outlet shops. They got some little Bath and Body Works stuff that was cute and they didn't spend a lot on that. So, I mean, we didn't get far from the hotel at all. But
Yeah.
there are some little things to do to kill time there.
Is there anything that we missed in or Universal Studios that you wanted to talk about that we didn't? Like anything that you guys did?
I would just say, in terms of preparation, long bikers with deep pockets. Also, don't forget about sunscreen because I was not in sunscreen mode yet when we went on this trip. Like, we hadn't really started
It's like
switching
early
into summer
summer. Yeah.
gear. School had just ended the week before, and we arrived with no sunscreen. And I was like, what do I do? Because you can't fit a full-size sunscreen in your fanny pack. And there was not a Target nearby, and there Walgreens was kind of far away, and travel size sunscreens are weirdly hard to find. I ended up dumping out one of my little travel spray bottle spritzers of whatever skincare product was in there, which was a little painful. And then I filled it up with sunscreen and added like the tiniest bit of water to make it sprayable.
Oh, well,
And
that
I
was
was like,
super
okay,
smart.
I felt like an absolute genius, and none of us got super sunburned, but you will if you are not prepared. And if you end up having to buy sunscreen in the parks, you get a tube this big for $15 plus, and
Yeah.
that'll last you for like half a day on two people.
Hmm.
So don't forget sunscreen. And if you can find travel sunscreen in sticks before you go, absolutely do that. Also, invest in some amazing walking sandals because that changed my life. I got the Teva brand or Teva, I'm not sure how you say that. And I just
Hmm.
got them on Amazon and I got no blisters, no like chafing. My feet were open to the wind
Yeah,
the
that's
whole time.
smart. I have a pair of those, and for some reason, I always gravitate towards sneakers and socks at parks, but it's like the water rides. You don't want your socks wet. So that's smart.
These children had sneakers and socks on and we're walking around in squishy
Yeah,
socks the whole time. I was like, guys, you have Crocs. You could have worn your Crocs. What are you doing? Why are you wearing socks on a 100-degree day in June to a park with water rides? But
right.
yeah, I felt like those were all, and like I said, fanny pack. So almost every ride you can go on with a fanny pack around your waist. The ones where they don't let you take anything have lockers available in the lines. If your ticket is printed out, which is another hot tip, print out your ticket. Don't have it on your phone because if your ticket is printed out, you put your things in the locker and your ticket that goes in your pocket is what opens the locker. If you have a digital ticket, you will have to get out of line and see a person who will give you a special piece of paper that will open the locker after the ride because
Mm.
your phone has to go in it. And that takes extra time. So you've already waited in half the line, then you have to leave the line, get this ticket, come back in. So if you come with the printed paper tickets, that's going to help you a lot in terms of wait time. And if you take a picture of your printed ticket, if it gets lost, it's easy to get reprinted if you have a picture of it.
That's a great
So
tip.
yeah, I feel like those are my best tips for sure. The fanny pack, the liquid IV, the sneakers, and those biker shorts with the
You
deep pockets that
love
can
the
hold
deep
water
pocket
bottles.
biker
I,
shorts.
if I had been wearing yoga pants, I would have died. And if I
Yeah.
had been wearing my shorter shorts, I wouldn't have been able to put the water bottles in there and we would have had to keep throwing them away and buying new ones the whole
Yes.
time. They let us on almost every ride with those in there. So I'm very passionate about these shorts. Fabletics should give me a code.
We're going to try to link them in the show notes. Maybe we can get a
Heck
code
yes.
somehow.
That would be amazing.
Okay, so was your travel home smooth? Did you like have to go to the airport after a park day or did you wake up and head to the airport on your final day?
This is actually such a funny story because we were meant to leave on a Sunday. We had already been there. I believe we arrived on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes, that is correct. We arrived on a Tuesday and we were supposed to go home on a Sunday. And by Saturday morning, We were so dead,
Yeah,
all of
that's a
us.
lot of park, a
It's a
lot of
lot of park.
amusement park.
And really, we had already decided Saturday is pretty chill. Grab whatever last rides maybe we didn't get to go on, and then do all our souvenir shopping and just kind of go slow, take it easy, get any pictures and videos, enjoy it. And I turned to my best friend and I said, there are Southwest flights out of here tonight. And another beautiful thing about Southwest is that if they have changed your flight time at all, even by 2 minutes, you can change your flights for free. And they had changed all of our flight times. And so when I went into the app, it was like, sorry, we had to change your flight. If you need to get a new flight, do that. The flight leaving that night, Saturday night, was so expensive. If we had to purchase it with additional points or cash, it would have doubled what I spent on everybody's flights. And instead, because the flight time had changed, we were able to rebook. There were 4 spots on there. So I looked at my friend and I said, how do you feel about going home tonight? And she was like, I feel great about that. Let's
So
do
like,
that.
okay, trip's over.
We didn't have any plans the next day. I was like, the idea of getting home at 10 p.m. and having a whole Sunday at home versus traveling all day and getting home at 3 the next day. But I didn't pick that flight specifically from the beginning because of its cost. So it really worked out very well. We were able to change everything for free. And then we told the girls, like, hey, I think we're going to go home tonight. And I didn't know how they were going to take it, but they took it great. They were so tired too. So I still had our hotel reserved through the next day. You can't cancel that late. And it actually worked out really, really well because instead of having to check out at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, we still had the room. So we
Yeah,
went to the park, took it easy, came back, packed all our stuff. We took a nap. We didn't have to be at the airport till like 7 something, but we had the room the whole time. So did I technically waste 9,000 points? Kind of, because we didn't stay overnight, but we also got that room and that space to utilize the whole afternoon
yeah.
when otherwise we would have had to have the hotel store our bags and we wouldn't have had anywhere to go back to freshen up or rest. So I felt like it was totally worth it. And it's the other great thing about points is you don't feel as sick as if you spent $200 on a night that you didn't end up staying.
Right. Well,
So
I feel like you are like a money saving master, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I have to know because I feel like you have, but have you calculated how much you actually spent dollar wise on this trip? Like not what the points were worth, but what you actually had to out of pocket spend to take this?
I have. So the food costs actually were quite alarming when I went back through our bill on the back end. I had budgeted like $100 a day for food, and I was quickly proven that that's completely insane
Yeah.
because there's like snacks and little things, and we kept getting these fruit cups with the
And
tahini on
everything's
it.
like 15, 20. It's like park prices. So that's what's really
Yeah.
good.
It's way more than you think it's going to be. So, with the food costs and with any Ubering that we did back and forth to the airport, and then with a few little souvenirs that I bought, and then the money that I gave my child for her spending money, which she technically earned, but of course it's my money, our out of pocket costs came in right under $700.
No, I
But
think that's incredible. Like
I think so too, because
Universal.
the
Yeah.
amount we saved with flights, tickets, hotels came right under 3,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, we would
Four
never have done
days,
it.
almost 5 nights, close to 5 nights, 4 days at Universal for $700. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And
And I
it
would
was
even
probably
subtract that because souvenirs, that's like a different spending bucket to me. I feel like that's you guys shopping or whatever, but like the true travel cost, food,
yeah.
Ubers, all that, I would say it's $500.
Yeah, it really was because she had like 175 bucks.
Yeah,
So you're right.
we're gonna
It
call
is
it
about
500.
500. I love that. I think that makes me feel even better about it. But yeah, it was amazing. And that was really probably about 2 card sign up bonuses. One Chase Sapphire Preferred and one Ink Business Card, which is a Chase business card. So 2 sign up bonuses doing my normal monthly spending. And we were able to take this awesome trip. I
That's
mean,
amazing.
literally cannot beat it.
Okay, I end every podcast with if someone out there is planning a Universal Orlando trip, what is it about Universal and staying at the Hyatt Place on Points that would make you say, just book it?
Well, First of all, it's on points. So what do you have to lose? We always say go for the memory, not like the redemption that has the most value. And for me, I will never forget this trip. My daughter will never forget this trip. It is such a magical place. I know everyone talks about Disney, but I have more attachment to the stories that are told through the Universal parks. And I think that if you love any of the lands that are represented there, especially Harry Potter, get yourself there. You will not regret it. And if you can do it mostly on points, like why would you not? Why would you not?
Amazing. You have been such a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for sharing all of your money saving tips and your points tips and your budgeting tips. I feel like people are going to get a ton out of this episode. So tell people where they can find you if they need more Joanna in their lives.
Absolutely. Well, as we've mentioned 75,000 times, our podcast is called Wonderland on Points. You can find it on all of the platforms. We also have a Wonderland on Points Instagram page with the same name where we post clips from the podcast and that kind of thing. And then I have a personal Instagram called Points to Wonderland, which don't get confused with Wonderland on Points. It is inverted. And we have a website now, wonderlandonpoints.com, which we're kind of kicking up a blog, and we offer credit card consultations over there so we can, help people get planning on their points and miles journeys.
Very cool. That's awesome that you guys are launching a website. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And y'all tune in to the next episode of Trip Tales. They drop every Monday. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.